take some x-rays, blah, blah, blah. And he comes in and goes, "This is great. This is great. It's a clean break." And I'm like, "What? I thought this is great that I sprained the ankle or something." He says, "Do you mind if I bring in some residents to see this? Because this is a straight hairline fracture. You don't see this often, and I just want to share the good news." Um, it's still broke, and I'm not feeling the greatness at all.
Nobody breaks an ankle like you, Alder Carter.
Telling you. So they X-ray it. I get a boot, and I'm just like, "I'm glad you all are happy, and I made your day. Let me out of here."
A couple of years back, I thought I might have broken my elbow, and my partner Laura made me actually go to urgent care. And she was correct; that's the right thing to do. And the doctor there said, "Well, if you're not sure whether you broke your elbow, you didn't break your elbow." I said, "Well, you say that, but a number of years ago, I landed badly on my elbow, and a couple of weeks later, I was like, man, this still hurts." And there's a little bit of bone that wasn't attached to the other bits. It was just kind of floating around in there. And she said, "Okay, well, we'll x-ray it." And afterwards, she said, "Well, I have two pieces of good news. The first is your elbow is not broken now. And the other is you broke the heck out of it a while ago. So, yeah, you were right. You apparently can break your elbow and not notice for 2 weeks."
My God. I'm telling you, you have to love um, medicine and the health industry.
You do. I mean, I wouldn't have been in that situation if I'd had health insurance back when I broke it the first time, but I did not. So sad to be me.
Oh my God. But they fixed it, right? Did you have
Well,
to have
no,
surgery?
no, it kind of fused back into place on its own. I've got full range of motion.
Wow.
As long as I don't lean on it, it hurts if I lean on it.
Oh my God.
So I just
Oh,
don't do that. Problem solved.
there you go.
I mean, for a very specific value of solved. All right, Jim, how many members do we have on ALRC right now? Total.
We have seven. Yeah, we have seven.
Okay, so 7 members. We've got 2 absences. So if everybody who hasn't said anything shows up, we have quorum.
There you go.
Oh, we have 2 absences. I know Fletcher won't be here.
Alder Carter told us that Alder Miadzi is sick and will not be able to make it.
Okay.
Recent Verbeer, Farley. Uh,
Does Mike have another meeting right now?
I've not heard anything about him having another meeting. I think we're just waiting on Farley and Revere. Well, there's
Joe, can you start us off, please?
Sure. Welcome to our virtual meeting. If you lose connection at any point during the meeting, you can reconnect by clicking the link or calling the number in your original email. Members, if you are able, please activate your video and keep it on for the duration of the meeting. Staff, if you are able, please activate your video when you are speaking. All panelists have the ability to mute and unmute themselves. Please continue to use the raise hand feature when you'd like to be recognized to speak, ask questions, or request a roll call vote. Lowering your hand will take you out of the queue. Members of the public who have registered to speak. The name you entered in Zoom must match the name you entered in registration. You will remain muted until called upon. City staff will tell you when your time is up. After speaking, a member of the body may ask you a question. If you need to share documentation with the ALRC, please send it to the email listed on today's agenda. Chair Donnelly, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I think we're getting a little bit of background noise from somebody. If there's something going on behind you, could you please mute yourself for now? This meeting is governed by Robert's Rules of Order. All speakers wishing to address the committee regarding an agenda item must first complete a registration form and submit it to the city clerk designee. Speakers may speak to the committee only after they're called by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. The public is not allowed to address or respond to speakers or committee members unless they've been recognized by the chair of the committee. Mr. Verbeek, do we have any notified absences?
Yes, Fletcher and Miadzi are both notified absences, and the ASM chair, who's a non-voting member, said he would not be here as well.
Thank you very much. So I call this meeting of ALRC to order at 5:40 p.m. Will you please call the roll?
Certainly. All right. Alder Miadzi is excused. Alder Revere?
Here.
Dr. Reese?
Here.
Ms. Farley?
Present.
Mr. Donnelly?
Present.
Alder Carter?
Present.
And Mr. Fletcher is excused. Chair, we have quorum.
Excellent. First order of business is approval of the minutes from our meeting on November 24th. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Your motion to approve the minutes as proposed. Do I hear a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Any corrections or discussion? Any request for a roll call vote? Seeing none, motion carries on the minutes. First item on the agenda is general public comment. Do we have any registrants? Mr. Verbeek?
Let me just bring it up real quick.
No worries.
We do not.
All right, moving right along. Disclosures and recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals under the city's ethics code. Are there any such disclosures or recusals? I see none. Presentation of the consent agenda. At this time, a consent agenda will be moved with the recommended action or to grant with any recommended conditions if no action is recommended for each item except 1, items which have registrants opposed and wishing to speak. 2, items which members have separated out for discussion and debate purposes. 3, any items requiring ordinance changes. And 4, operator license applications. Mr. Verbeek, will you please present the proposed consent agenda?
I will. And then I have one to pull off, but I'll read it as it is right now and then I'll pull it off. Proposed consent agenda for ALRC meeting December 15th, 2021. Recommend to council to grant change of agent items number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Business name change items 7 and 8. Entity reorganization items number 9 and 10. Change of license premises number 11. And recommend the council to place on file without prejudice. Public hearing new license, item number 13.
All right.
And that's the consent agenda. And then I was looking to pull off item number 3, change of agent for K Street LLC. Assistant City Attorney Jennifer Zilvey brought to my attention that the signer of the LLC on the application is not a member who is listed on the latest renewal paperwork in June. So I don't believe at this point that we have a member of the LLC who signed that person to be the liquor beer agent. So I did give a call to one of the members of the LLC who is going to be the outgoing agent, and asked him if we could get a new application with a signature on it. I have not heard back from him, so my recommendation would be to refer it to next month, and then we can hopefully get that cleared up before next month's meeting.
Excellent. Committee, are there any of the items that are currently slated for inclusion in the consent agenda that you would like separated?
So will item number 3 be referred to the next meeting, or has it been taken off the consent agenda?
It'll be taken off the consent agenda and dealt with when we arrive at it in the agenda.
Thank you.
Presumably to be referred. What other questions or separations do people have? All right. If there aren't any, Alder Carter.
I was going to move to accept the consent agenda.
All right. There a motion to accept this consent agenda. Is there a second?
I can second.
Second from Ms. Farley. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Seeing none, motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. For everyone in attendance, Mr. Verbeek will now read out which items have been dealt with as part of the consent agenda and what the resolution was. If the item that you're here for is on that list, you're all set. Jim?
The past consent agenda for ALRC meeting December 15th, 2021 is to recommend the council to grant item number 4, change of agent, Quick Trip Inc. at 7502 Mineral Point Road. Item number 5, change of agent, Quick Trip Inc. 401 North 3rd Street. Number 6, change of agent, Quick Trip Inc. 4402 East Buckeye Road. Number 7, business name change, 444 Park Street, Walters LLC. Current DBA Walters, new DBA The Borough Beer Company and Kitchen. Number 8, business name change, Quick Trip Inc. Current DBA Stop and Go 1522. New DBA Quick Trip 1522. Number 9, entity reorganization, Bartaco Hilldale LLC. Number 10, entity reorganization, Walmart Stores East LP. Number 11, change of license premises, Quick Trip Inc. And recommend the council to place on file without prejudice. Item number 13, public hearing new license, Potomac LLC, DBA Starkweather Brewing Company at 2439 Atwood Avenue. Class B beer, and this applicant has withdrawn their application. They're only going to be a brewery, not a brew pub, so they only need a state license, state permit, not a municipal license.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Verbeek. Once again, those items have been disposed of, and so if you're here for one of those, you are all set. Next item, item 2, operator's license for Michelle Roach. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Chair, there's no one by that name in the list.
All right. I apologize for my memory, but has this applicant been before us, or has this item been on the agenda before?
It has.
So committee, generally after the second no-show, we place an application on file without prejudice, but it is of course up to you what you would like to do. A motion would now be in order. Alder Carter.
I move to place on file without prejudice.
Your motion, is there a second? Dr. Reese, any discussion? Any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries on item 2. Would anybody be concerned with jumping to item 17, which is another operator's license application? I see 2 head nods. That's good enough. So item 17, operator's license application for Craig Jacobson. Do we have a registrant here on this item?
Yes.
Excellent. Captain Zanders, are you prepared to do the MPD part of the show? I realize I threw a curveball by jumping right to item 17.
Can you hear me?
We can.
I'm having a little bit of audio issues. I am going to attempt to log out and log in if that's okay.
That is totally fine. And Craig, please bear with us.
Sure.
Regarding item 3, the change of agent for Madison's, did we hear anything back from anybody about that?
I did not hear anything back. I left both our office phone number and my email address. And while I was not in the office, we did have people in the office, and nobody told me that anyone called in looking for me, and nobody sent me an email regarding it.
All right. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take. Oh, I reverse jinxed it. Welcome back, Captain Sanders.
You guys hear me?
We can.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent. So we are on item 17, operator's license application for Craig Jacobson. Can you run us through why this application is flagged, please?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Jacobson.
Hello.
In viewing your application and during the background process, items of concern came to my attention. The concerns noted has been identified as a conflict pertaining to license guidelines embodied by statute. The first guideline that I'd like to discuss is Guideline 1, provided the circumstances of the offense substantially related to the circumstances of the job license activity. Any person who has been convicted of a felony, unless duly pardoned, does not qualify for an operator's license. This is Section 125.04, Appearance 5, Appearance B, via the Wisconsin State Statute. With that being said and mentioned, in 1992, there was a conviction of a felony, and it's going to actually be May 14th, 1992. And then the second part of that is that Guideline 5 also outlines that you should be, applicants must be truthfully and completely fill out the application on which that was not noted on your application. So, Mr. Jacobson, this is your opportunity to articulate to the committee as well as dispute any concerns that I have noted.
Should I speak now?
You are welcome to do so.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was, I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed. I knew that this had occurred 30 some years ago. I didn't notify it on my application, and I definitely should have. At that time, life circumstances, I'd gone through 2 spinal surgeries. I'd become addicted to pain pills. I attempted to forge a prescription and was caught, and then found guilty. I then went into outpatient treatment for 90 days, and I've remained clean and sober for the past, I guess it's been 29 years since then. So I ask your understanding and forgiveness for that oversight.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig, and congratulations. That is not an easy thing to kick. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Dr. Reese.
No question, just to say congrats on your clean time, Craig, and just note for the record my disdain with bringing up 30-year-old issues in this process, which I've mentioned before and hope to address in the future.
Thank you.
I am happy to note Dr. Reese's disdain, which I share. Alder Carter. Alder Carter, we cannot hear you.
I also want to say congratulations. 29 years is an accomplishment in itself. And the other thing I wanted to say was hopefully next year the subcommittee can get on the calendar and be able to do this separately. And I do recognize the fact that this is December. We're all going into the holiday season. And I hope that we can get it on the calendar next year. But Craig, my hat goes off to you. I don't wear a hat, but my hat goes off to you on this one. And I wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you, Alder Carter.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Committee, a motion would certainly be in order at this time.
Move approval.
A motion to approve from Alder Carter. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Any discussion? Any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. Operator's license is granted. Have a good evening, Craig.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, item 3, change of agent for Madison's. Do we have any registrants for this item?
Is this item 3, Chair?
Yes, it is.
No, there's nobody registered.
Okay. Committee, what's your pleasure? Dr. Reese?
I'd move to place this on file based on what Jim said. Wait, I don't know how to phrase that properly. Sorry.
We certainly could that. We might want to refer it to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting in case they come through between now and then.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would move to refer to the next ALRC meeting.
All right, I hear a motion to refer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alder Verveer. Any discussion? Any dissent? Hearing none, motion to refer item 3, change of agent for Madison's, to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting. It carries. Next item, item 12, new license for Village Bar. Do we have a registrant for this item?
We have a few registrants for this item.
Is one of them the applicant?
At least one of them. I know Matthew Fink is registered. I believe he's here.
I am.
And he's with the application.
Can you hear me?
We can. Matthew, can you please tell us I was going to say, tell us about your business. Clearly, the Village Bar has been around for a while. Can you tell us what's going on?
Sure. Myself, Tom Overwitter, and Sean Quinn are looking to purchase and reopen the Village Bar on at 3801 Narrow Point Road. Place has been there, obviously, for a long time, and our plan is to continue to operate it as the same establishment that it's always been. Mark Campa, who is selling the bar to us, will remain on as an employee. Leo Castle, who sold it to him in 1999, is currently still an employee and will remain an employee. A lot of the current employees are staying on or coming back. The bar has been pretty much closed since COVID started, and we're just looking to get the bar back open. We've spent quite a bit of time getting the place cleaned up and, ready to go. And we're just going through the process now to try and get the liquor license for ourselves. And at that point, then Mark Campa will relinquish his liquor license. And that's really what's going on.
Excellent. Are there any changes to the licensed premises boundaries from what was on the previous license?
None that we know.
Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Alder Carter.
Thank you. Matt, I believe that the Village Bar has been there since the 50s. Am I wrong?
I believe the building was moved there in like 1928. I don't know exactly how long it's been a bar. I know it was Waterman's, and then Leo Castle moved his Bob and Jeans there in the 60s or 70s, I believe.
Wow, long history. I'm looking at your floor plan. Are these tables spaced out for COVID etiquette, or is this just the way the tables are?
The tables are spaced pretty much the way that they've always been. There's enough room, I believe, to, handle that, but we've shrunk some of the tables down to make a little bit more room for people. And we have some smaller tables that we purchased. If we need to continue to do that, we can change out some of the larger ones that are in there.
Okay. And what kind of amusement products are you offering?
We have.
It says tobacco and amusement.
Yeah, there's some video games in the establishment. There's 3 of those, and then there's a pull tab machine and touch tunes music, but that's about it. And we might sell a pack of cigarettes here and there, but it's not something that we're looking to do a lot of.
Okay, great. And you're going to be open till 2:00 in the morning all week?
Well, we're not exactly sure what our hours are going to be during the week. We're probably going to be looking to reduce the hours Monday through Thursday. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to, say exactly when we're going to close, but, most places aren't staying open as late as they used to, but Friday and Saturday we'll probably stay a little open quite a bit later.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Assistant City Attorney Brist.
Mr. Fink, you mentioned a pull tab machine. What's a pull tab machine?
It's most bars and restaurants have them now. They are on the wall, and I think people put in $20 and get cards that they open up to see if they win $1 or $5 or $50, so things like that.
Is it licensed by the State Lottery Commission?
I believe so, yes.
If it's licensed by the State Lottery Commission, it's going to be legal, but you're not allowed to do this gambling type of amusement without it being appropriately approved.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Assistant City Attorney Brist. Maybe what other questions do you have for the applicant? All right. Mr. Verbeek, you said that there are other registrants for this item. Are any of them, well, can you please read them off and let us know whether they are in support of or opposed and whether they wish to speak?
Sure. I know two, he had mentioned two other members of his LLC, Thomas Overwetter and Sean Quinn are both registered and here and members of the LLC.
Excellent.
In addition to them, it looks like there's a Rich Tate who's in support, not wishing to speak, but available to answer questions, and a Karen Campa who is in support and not wishing to speak.
Excellent. Committee, do you have any questions for any of those people? Excellent. Thank you for now, Matthew. We'll let you know if we have any more questions for you. Committee, any discussion? In anticipation of a possible question, there are no conditions on the current license. Very well. Committee, what's your pleasure? Alder Carter.
I move approval.
Your motion to approve from Alder Carter. Is there a second? Second from Alder Verveer. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none. Motion carries, approving the new license for the Village Bar. Congratulations on taking over such a long storied establishment, Matthew. And it is kind of delightful that there are so many people who are still involved in it who were involved previously. Next item, new license for Chiba Hut. Do we have anyone registered for this item?
We do. We have two registrants, Heather Golita and a RC Hoon.
All right, let's start with Heather since she is the agent. Heather, kind of same deal as with the last item. Obviously, Chiba Hut has been here for a while, although not as long as the Village Bar. Can you tell us what's going on, please?
All right. Well, sorry. RC and I, hold on, we're reverberating right now.
Try and mute this.
You okay?
Turn off.
Is it possible for
Yeah.
RC and I to do this together?
Why don't you talk first, and then when you're done, we can talk to RC.
I'm muted.
Okay. All right.
But you're welcome to punt questions.
Okay. All right. Well, so RC and I have looked to purchased Chiba Hut in Madison. It's been there for 8 years, but it had under under ownership from Dave Timmons and Mark, and they had been in Colorado and in Vegas. And we, being in Wisconsin, felt that we could do a good job with it. So Chiba Hut, as you guys know, is a sandwich shop that does have a full bar, but it's where people can come and have a great sandwich and might have a beer with it here and there. What's really great, we really enjoy giving the people who work there great opportunities and bring great subs to the community. In fact, in our store in Milwaukee, we had a lot of people who had sandwiches up in Madison and had come to try it out there too. So it's been a great benefit for us in Milwaukee as well.
Excellent. Let's see. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? I guess I will start with one. Heather, in the past, Chiba Hut has shared with us some receipts data about what percent of the sales came from alcohol versus food. And we were, the point when this happened, we were having some challenges with some other establishments, and it was rather delightful how easily Chiba Hut was able to produce highly accurate, up-to-date information. I'm not asking you to provide any now, but is that a capability you will continue to have?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Committee, again, what questions do you have for the applicant? Alder Verveer, then Alder Carter.
Thank you, Chairperson Donnelly. I wanted to probe weekend bar time issue just a moment or two here with you, Heather, and RC. You had mentioned to me when we talked that you did have the opportunity to chat with Central District Police Commander Captain Zanders about those challenges that Chiba Hut has had for the last few years, and more so, I think, in the last year or two. Again, I'm assigning no blame whatsoever to the current ownership of the restaurant, but could you just share with us your thoughts on the challenges of operating on particularly Friday and Saturday evenings after midnight? And on your application, it sounds like you plan to close earlier than Dave and Mark had, at least during most of the years that they own the restaurant. I know of late, since we had shootings and so forth, unfortunately, at the end of the block, not your end of the block, but State, Broome, and Gilman, they decided to close before or at bar time instead of staying open post bar time. So kind of just generally, can you speak to what you understand the challenges are from the current employees that I understand you're retaining, and discuss your conversation with Captain Zanders broadly, and then I'll probably ask the captain to do the same.
Okay. So yeah, that I believe that we really haven't had an incident in over a year. That I found that out from our general manager. But so there are challenges in regards to that from the surrounding community, as well as when there are games and things like that, especially moving in towards the later hours. We did discuss the absolute need for security. We're currently using SPS security. There is most of the time one security person on at that time. We're looking into other security options, as well as when I talked to Captain Zander, he did explain that there was some training that could be done from the police department for our staff to learn how to handle some of the issues when people are in line, because that typically seems to be where there may be an incident that happens. And so I said absolutely. And when I addressed it with the staff, they were very excited about the option as well. And then really, honestly, we're looking also for safety options, adding some extra security lighting and things like that to help in the patio area or the alley area too. Do you want to add anything?
Thank you, Heather. The lighting in particular sounds like an excellent idea. I'm very familiar with your location and that area where the dumpsters are, and the alleyway. It's not an alley for a motor vehicle, but anyway, the space there between buildings, I can see as being assisted by improved lighting. And just to confirm what you stated in your application, at least for now, you and RC do plan to your thinking is to continue closing by 2:30 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights and not staying open past bar time, although you're lawfully allowed to do as a bona fide restaurant.
Yes.
Very good. And then lastly, there is a license condition that Dave and Mark have on the current license that simply states that you will continue to meet the legal definition of a restaurant under our ordinances. Is it fair to say that you have no questions or concerns about continuing that license condition?
We have no questions or concerns about that.
Thank you. And our chairperson, just as you might be able to see, generously has shared his screen and provided the actual writing there.
Thank you.
Available to all of us. If appropriate, either now or after, I think Alderperson Carter had questions earlier. I would, Chair, like to ask Captain Zanders to share his thoughts either now or a little later about how the conversation went with the applicants, and maybe more generally share with the committee the challenges that he and his district have had in that corridor over the last year or so in particular.
Sure. Alder Carter put her hand down, so that would be in order at this time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Heather. I think Heather did a great job of summarizing our conversation, Alder Revere, and highlighting what we actually discussed over the phone. I truly appreciate her professionalism in reaching out to me, and then also being willing to accept some of the suggestions that I provided to her as she highlighted, like I said, as she spoke about the summary of what we discussed. In regards to the recent challenges, Chiba Hut has not stuck out, but me and Heather did discuss that, that crowd, the crowd. And when I say the crowd, I'm talking about the crowd that likes to come after the bar time and have a couple drinks, or not have a couple drinks, I'm sorry, but engage in food and stand in line. And we talked about line management as well as security, and when to call MPD in case something was going wrong. So that early warning signs. So overall, it was a pleasure speaking to Heather. I have nothing kind of, I guess, adverse to add to what she eloquently highlighted via our conversation.
Thank you. And for everyone's benefit, is your community policing team, or I guess it's more during the course of the warmer weather months with the Downtown Safety Initiative officers and sergeant, are you still proactively closing the 400 block of West Gilman Street, Captain, as a routine matter on Friday and Saturday evenings?
No, that has ceased at this time, sir.
Uh-huh. And did that cease just when we ended DSI, Downtown Safety Initiative, for the winter months?
Absolutely. We kind of did that whole scanning and assessing of the environment and determined that wasn't appropriate to continue on into the winter months.
Very good. But for the applicant's benefit, it is perhaps likely that the police department will be shutting down their block if they're successful with securing the license.
Okay.
Next year in the spring, summer months, correct?
That is correct. Usually our Downtown Safety Initiative starts St. Patrick's Day, and then we start kind of picking up. We take maybe a month off and then pick up as we get towards the end of April, early May.
Thanks very much, Captain. I had no further questions. Thanks, Chair Donnelly.
Thank you, Alder Revere. Committee, what other questions do you have for the applicants? All right. Jim, you said that RC was also registered to speak, correct?
Correct.
RC, you are by no means required to. Heather gave us a lot of information, but it is your legal right, if you would like, to make a statement to the committee.
I don't have anything particular to add. I'll just say Heather's my wife, and she's a wonderful woman. So we're really excited. We're local operators here in Milwaukee, And Chiba Hut in Madison has been around for 8 years, kind of been on an island as the owners. Their next closest location was in Colorado. And so we're excited about having local ownership here and improving the restaurant. It's for any of you that may have been there, it's really good food, but we want to bring it up to another level yet. And we're excited about expanding to other locations in Madison as well. So thank everybody for their time. And if you have any questions, I'm certainly here and available for that.
Excellent. Thank you. Committee, any questions for RC? All right. Thank you, Heather and RC. We will let you know if we have any further questions for you. Mr. Roderbeck, are there any other registrants for this item?
No, there are not.
Committee, what is your pleasure? Alder Verveer.
Thank you, Chair. I move to grant the Class B combination license with the condition that the establishment shall meet the definition of a restaurant under Madison General Ordinance, Section 38.02 at all times.
Do you also want the existing condition about capacity?
Thanks for asking. Before we ask for the second, Jim, what's the current status of trying to have uniformity on our licenses? Are you in the Acela program? Have we been able to, something we've talked about the last few years, have a separate space for capacities? I don't want to have this license, be an outlier that we have the capacity listed for them, but not others. For example, the Mineral Point Road application we just had did not have a condition related to capacity. Isn't it true that normally most licenses, Deputy City Clerk Zwerbeck, have like a history that you try to fit the capacity space in, but it's not a specific condition?
Most times when we look for it, we tend to look at the renewal paperwork that we have, as well as their appearance at previous LRC meetings and what the capacity was listed then. We don't have any uniformity yet in the licenses. I don't know where that is right now. I'll have to double check with IT to see where we are in trying to get an adequate space for that to be captured in the Acela.
Thank you. Well, so I obviously have no objection to having and I think we should have the capacity listed on all of our licenses in writing. So I have no objection to continuing this the way that the current license is worded. I just wish we had more of a uniformity and that we're consistent. So, as I said, the most recent agenda item, we should have done the same thing if we wanted to start listing capacity as a condition, in my estimation.
Very well. So we have a motion to grant this application with the conditions you see now on your screen. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Discussion. Great. I have a question, or Alder Verveer.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to state for a moment, to clarify that the line of questioning that I asked was not a reflection on the existing establishment and its existing staff and ownership, nor my concerns about granting the license to these applicants that obviously have current experience operating the Chiba Hut location in the city of Milwaukee. It's just to clarify, it is the environmental concern in this corridor, one that last summer was particularly painful, the month of June with the record number of shots fired in that area. So I appreciate the responses that the applicants made in regards to that concern and questions, and I have no reservation whatsoever granting these applicants the license to continue the operations at this location under their ownership.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. I have a question for you. Other licensed establishments in this immediate vicinity have a condition on their license regarding admission or readmission of new patrons after a certain time. Is that something that should apply to this establishment as well?
That's a good point. Maybe Captain Zanders can help refresh my memory. I wonder if this was a clerical oversight, or if Deputy City Clerk Burbick, could you just, I don't know if you can quickly check or not, but was Chiba Hut separated when we went through that 1:30 a.m. no new entry or reentry exercise? Maybe we specifically did not include bona fide restaurants, is my recollection. It was only taverns.
I can't recall any restaurants being separated.
Yeah, that's my thinking, is that, and it's a great question, Chair Donnelly, but I think that the community policing team and the Central District Police leadership at the time, and I and so forth, all figured that the bona fide restaurants should not be held under that uniform condition.
Excellent, thank you. Committee, what further questions or discussion do you have on this item? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. Is there any dissent? Seeing none, motion to grant this item with the conditions enumerated passes. I will email these to you, Mr. Verbeek.
Was that Alder Carter was the second on that?
I believe Dr. Reese was the second.
Okay.
All right. That brings us next to item 15, recent calls for service. Captain Sanders. Are there any, is there anything to which you would like to call our attention?
I will make this extremely brief, and I guess this is kind of along the lines of Chiba Hut when I say, part of that training that Central CPT did this past year has proven to be success. And the only reason why I bring that up is because the City Bar has had a slight couple of bad moments during these last month and a half in which they had calls for service, but they were able to kind of get onto that early recognition program, and they proactively reached out to us, and we were able to resolve issues with them. And I would encourage anyone that might be listening or anyone that you guys might have a conversation with to also reach out to Central CPT and kind of get some of the basics of that training, because it has, like I said, up to this point, proven to be a success. And I highlight City Bar because at times, often, we look at negative things, but I want to just give a shout out to them for being proactive in their approach of reaching out to us and establishing a meeting and working on solutions to issues that are occurring around their establishment. That's pretty much what I have. Other than that, happy holidays, everyone, if I don't see you after this meeting or going into next year. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Captain Sanders. It is nice to hear good news, because positive things are nice in general, but also it gives us more of an idea of what's going on and which establishments are doing well. Alder Verveer.
Thank you. And Captain, since you brought up the 500 block, well, actually, just City Bar's the 600 block of State Street, I know that at a recent meeting of the committee, you had mentioned that it was your understanding that the city attorney's office was preparing to file a long form complaint against Whiskey Jack's Saloon. Do you have any information as to whether or not the city has filed a long form complaint in municipal court reference whiskey and their various allegations of violations of our ordinances earlier this year?
I have not received an update at this time.
Could you check for me, just out of curiosity, and get back to me? I know it's inappropriate for me to ask Attorney Brist because of the wall of separation in the city attorney's office between prosecution and representation of us here, and Steve is our legal advisor for us as a committee. But if you could just check for me, I'd be appreciative, because as you know, it's been some time since your officers, especially on the community policing team, had found numerous violations there.
Absolutely. I will get back with you.
Thank you very much, and happy holidays to you and one and all as well.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. Committee, do you have any other questions for Captain Sanders? All right, hearing none, we will move on to item 16, report from the City Clerk's office. Mr. Verbeek, is there anything to which you would like to call our attention?
The only thing I'll notice on the summary of licenses granted issued, we have one license that was granted that will likely not be issued, and that's the French House. They've run into an issue of zoning, and it's not an issue that can be applied for like conditional use or something. It's like they just don't, there's nothing allowing in the zoning code for them to have an alcohol license. So it's still on there. I haven't removed it. I'll give them to their 180 days, and then it'll end up dropping off the list.
Excellent. Thank you. Committee, do you have any questions for Mr. Verveer? Mr. Verbeek, sorry. All right, seeing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Move to adjourn, and happy holidays to all.
I hear a motion to adjourn and wish everyone a happy holidays from Alder Carter. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Double aye.
You can only vote once. Opposed to have the same privilege. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:30 p.m. and everyone is wished a happy holidays formally from the committee. I'll see all of you next year.